All right, we have a quorum because our council has 9 members, although we have 1 open seat right now. And a quorum is 5, so we now have 5 members, and I'm gonna start by calling the meeting to order and reading the remote script that is still required. As a preliminary matter, I'm Mary Ann Easley, Chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So I'm going to call your name. Please say yes if you're here, and if I know you're not here, I won't even call your name. Robert.
Here.
Erin.
Here.
Arlene.
Here.
Linda.
Here.
And I'm here. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jericho.
Here.
Laura.
Here.
And we have no anticipated speakers today. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Council on Aging is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comments. For this meeting, the Council on Aging is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. And I think that is all there is, except to just be conscious of the fact of trying not to talk over each other, 1 person at a time. We should have plenty of time for people to make their comments uninterrupted. So let me go to the first agenda item, which is to approve the agenda. Can I have somebody?
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Linda. Now I have to go down the list to make sure everyone approves the agenda. Robert?
Yes.
Erin?
Yes.
Arlene? Arlene?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes,
Mary Ann, yes. Thank you, everyone. Next is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Of course, our previous meeting, which was scheduled for February, did not happen due to a snafu with the technology. So we are looking at approving the minutes of the January meeting, which all of you have received from Laura. So can I have someone to move?
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll
Rob.
second.
Thank you, Linda. Again, I'm going to go to the approval of the minutes. When I call your name, say yay or nay. Robert,
Yay.
Erin,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Linda,
Yep,
Mary Ann, yes. Okay, thank you. Now on to official business of this meeting. I do want to mention that we had speakers planned for last meeting from the Commission on Disability, Mickey Rowland and Brenda McDonough. And they have agreed to come back to our June meeting. So let me just put that out there so everybody is on board for June and attends the meeting so that we have a quorum and we can hear what's going on with that commission. First thing on the agenda is to discuss the Senior Man and Senior Woman of the Year, which is coming up pretty fast. Normally, the calendar is that at our March meeting, we announce that we're going forward with this. Tomorrow, we'll send out a press release and we'll open the nominations. So people have 2 months to complete the nominations. At our May meeting, we will choose the Senior Man and Senior Woman of the Year. And traditionally in June, we have the luncheon to honor them, which has traditionally been at Fairgrounds Restaurant. So that's kind of the timeline of things. But Laura has sent everybody a draft of a new nomination form. Laura and I worked on this, and I hope that we incorporated suggestions people had from the past, because I know we've had difficulty with people nominating someone just by saying, oh, Joe Blow is a great guy and does anything I ask, which is hardly enough for this body to make a decision of that that person is a considered volunteer of the year. So I hope everybody had time to look at the changes we've made to the nomination form, and we're open to suggestions from people if you think this is adequate or not adequate. Before we make this available tomorrow to everybody, now is the time for input. So I'll open the floor to anybody who has any suggestions, positive or negative.
I've got my hand up. I'm not sure you can see it on your screen.
I can see it. Yes, thanks, Linda. Go ahead.
I still think we're going to run into trouble. I was one of the bigger criticizers the last several years on the form that we had, because we got, oh, they go to church every Sunday. Okay. And what I'm looking for specifically, and not obviously not that it's a great person, because that's not working for me either. I'm looking for somebody who gives back to the community. That's the biggest issue for me, whether they're in town government like I am, or Bob volunteers and he does great stuff at the NHA, or any of us who volunteer out, in various places to further the efforts of the elderly and infirm here. That's what I'm after. I'm not after somebody going to church every Sunday. I'm not after that kind of stuff. If an elderly person volunteers at the school to read to the kids, I'm after that kind of thing. I'm after somebody who furthers the relationship and the benefits for the elderly in the community, whether it's an elderly with a kid, or elderly with big brothers, or elderly with something to give back to the community. That's all I want on these forums. I'm afraid I'm still going to get a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter to me personally.
First of all, let me say that they can volunteer in any capacity. They don't have to be just helping seniors. They can be helping anybody.
Right, but I want a senior that's giving back to the community,
Right,
or a
it's a
nonprofit
senior.
or something.
Now, have you had a chance to read through this and see in the red up top that we ask for specifics?
I was gonna see if you wanted me to share a screen. I have a copy of it open right now.
Oh, okay.
I'll throw it up here very quickly, just so we can all be looking at the same thing. There we go. Are you guys seeing this now? It said Saltmore Senior Center and then important.
Yep.
Okay.
We're not saying it.
That I can fix
There it goes.
eventually. Okay.
So can you enlarge that top red portion?
Yes, let me zoom in a little bit.
It just disappeared again.
Hold on, let me see if I can stop and start again.
It was good just a minute ago.
Yeah, I was trying to make it so we could all see it. Cause, there we go. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so let me zoom in a tiny bit.
How does this particular between male and female here? Is there go down a little bit?
I don't know why the typesetting is being weird on this. Yeah, so I think, please, so this section, please provide supporting information for your nominee, including specific examples of their volunteer communications. Nominations that do not include such supporting documentation cannot be considered for recognition. Use back or additional page if needed. Did we add that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We added this whole message at the top, and we repeated the words, list the specific ways, down just above the section where people fill in. So we repeated the idea of being very specific again down in the body of this.
I still think we're going to get, a role model to your grandkids. One, they cherry pick one out of here, or they're willing to help somebody themselves or their husband. I still think, unless we go and somebody's going to cherry pick something out of here, and we're going to get the same thing that we got last year with 30 applications that say she's great, I like her. And that's not what this award's supposed to be.
So can you suggest specific changes to this nomination form?
I don't know. I don't know how to say, just don't pick one out of here, people. They've got to fulfill, a more global involvement with the community in some respect.
Well,
I don't know if it says
hope-
and, I just think and is ridiculous, is redundant, it was redundant.
Say that
Aaron-
again?
Oh, she said it's a stylistic thing of like literally writing and in every time.
And at the end of each of these?
What we could do is, and Aaron, I don't wanna cut you off, it looked like you were making a hand gesture, Aaron, like
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
I mean, I don't know if this would be helpful, but maybe before in your own words, we could put in bold and underline in detail, like provide detail. I don't know if that already says that. And then, so add the word detail somewhere in the sentence. And then maybe when we receive these, I believe is it Laura who receives them first. If they are too vague, can we just send them back and say, please provide more information in order for us
I
to
don't want-
consider this?
I don't want to
That's
put that on Laura. She ran into this last year too. She had no choice but to give us all of them.
I did get in touch with some people to have them, be more specific, and some did add on and some did not. That's not a problem.
Oh,
Okay.
so, if people give an incomplete nomination, you're willing to hand it back to them with a suggestion that they give more detail if they really want their nominee to be considered?
Definitely.
It may also help if we use a specific number of examples, if we say, like, on the top page, please list the top 3 volunteer accomplishments of this individual. And then and then after that, in detail, That way.
I think the word accomplishment is a problem.
Yeah, well, maybe volunteer contributions or 3 volunteer activities and have that be first, and then the in detail for the additional. That way, if Laura gets them and there's not 1, 2, 3 bullet points filled out, she can just toss them back without, like, that's like the threshold.
Could we say something like, in your own words, explain all the ways this individual is deserving of this recognition?
I think, yeah, so what I would, and I know Marianne is working on that, so I don't wanna like make any authoritative changes to the document. But what I would put it in as is,
See what I was saying? But all the ways.
Well, here is what I'm hearing so far, and correct me if I'm wrong. At the very top, we should say something about list the top 3 volunteer contributions. That would expand that part. We could put the word "and" after every one of these bullet points here, so that people understand they have to accommodate every one of the things on this list. And then after "in your own words," we would use language such as, in your own words, in detail, explain all the ways that this individual is deserving of this recognition. And then finally, Laura would hand back incomplete nominations to people. And it's up to them then to do the assignment or not. And if they
Actually-
don't do it, then, we'll just do the best we can with what we get.
Actually, I
have
think
a-
we just solved the problem with that one sentence.
I,
your
I
own
have a
words.
suggestion also. I just put in the meeting chat, just a sentence to try to help
Where's
clear
that?
this up a little. And it says to
Yeah.
qualify, nominees must have volunteered or engaged in community service activities. So it kind of eliminates the process of people who go to church or are paid
Mhm.
in a job to do what they do, sort of thing. So I don't know how much more clear that can be, but I do agree with Linda about maybe we just need to, kind of fine tune this just a little bit, in maybe cutting back more words and just putting more simple sentences in, saying the sentence similar to what I just put in the chat.
I think
Um,
you need to go down to the paragraph below, go down.
Gotcha.
down, down, down. I don't know who's controlling this screen, but go down right there. In your
Yeah.
own words, describe all the ways that this individual contributes to the community in a volunteer capacity. End of story.
I think we
That's
do
all you have
all,
to say.
yeah, I think we do all of that. So in total, our plans were, so we've added this. Then we're adding an explicit to be considered, I'm sorry, to be considered,
To qualify,
I think we'll just, I think to be
considered
considered.
nominees must have volunteered or engaged in community service activities, and they must be.
Age 60 and
Yeah.
older, and then our previous
Okay.
criteria from previous years, then three specific.
I'd get rid of the 3 specific. I just think if you're involved in one activity, you don't have 3 ways. I mean, I think we've already gotten there. I think that next paragraph does it.
And just because I love folds in italics
Gross.
and crows, which are both bold and italic, I think.
Well, you know, the elderly handicapped font is supposed to be 14 font, by the way. And this is
Yeah.
not 14 font,
It's
just
gotta
so you
fit on
know.
a Sheet of paper, though.
We can typeset it this a little bit, if you need help getting it all on one page. I have both fluffed out and made smaller many research papers.
Okay, so.
Just know that it's 14 font for disability people.
Yeah, we can fit that on in 14. I just have to change this size a little bit, if nothing else. Are we comfortable with that?
I am
Right.
now.
Okay.
I will send this document to your email right now,
Okay,
and
good.
that way you can just copy and paste it
Thank
into
you.
another document.
So Laura, you and I will finalize this tomorrow. Laura?
Laura,
Hello,
mute.
sorry,
Yes.
I'm doing 8 other things.
Can you and I finalize this tomorrow?
Yes,
And after it's a go, then we can send, the press release is really teed up already, so.
yep,
We can send it
perfect.
out. So, can I assume that everybody's on board with this and, we're ready to go tomorrow?
you need a vote.
Pardon?
You need a vote.
I guess I do need a vote. So if you agree, with what we've done here and you think it's ready to go, say yes, and if not, we'll have more discussion. Okay, Robert,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes, yes.
Linda,
Yep.
and I'm fine with it. So, okay, so we're all in agreement that with these changes, we're gonna let her rip tomorrow at some point. And thank you, everybody. Of course, we don't know exactly what we're gonna get, but I think we're covering as many bases as we can, trying to hold off the problems of the past.
Great.
So, thank you again, all. Next on our agenda is the 2024 Elder Expo, and I can give you something of an update, and then I'd like to have a discussion about moving forward. We have the high school, we're on their calendar, and they're ready to help us for Saturday, October 19. Please put this on your calendar. Saturday, October 19, Elder Expo will be from 10 to 1 at the high school. We have the cafeteria, the Hall of the Whale, the auditorium, and the lobby. So,
Did you say cafeteria also?
correct, the cafeteria as well.
great.
So, they have waived all of the usual costs involved, which are pretty considerable. But we're not gonna have to pay for any of this. However, if we have more than 200 individuals expected, we will have to pay for a police and fire detail. So, I'm hoping that we do have 200 or more people, so our expenses will be, for those will have to be added to it. I've also tried to get this on some master calendar for the town, but I'm not clear that there is such a thing yet. But I
There is,
sent
there is.
email to the, oh, I don't know who to send my email. I tried to,
Sorry, what was the?
Master calendar for the town.
for the town.
There's like two, if you're looking for, you wanna reach out, unfortunately, you would probably, there is a master calendar, but it is not universally accepted, so you would wanna reach out to Culture and Tourism.
I did.
Chantal.
I heard nothing.
I'll reach out to Chantal. I've been working on a
And then
project.
to
with her.
the Chamber of Commerce, I
Chamber,
reached
yeah,
out and I
one
heard
going
nothing.
too.
I heard nothing from either one. But the nonprofit calendar, we're definitely on the nonprofit calendar and we're not in conflict with anybody else. So they accepted us as, I don't think there's gonna be much going on in October, the middle of October.
So is Jericho gonna get a hold of Chantal as well as the chamber? Because they have a calendar.
Chamber, Chantal, I'm a better bet with Chantal, and then I'll ask her, she has contacts over there too, so I'll see if she can, poke the bear a little bit.
But we're
And then there's
definitely,
obviously Laura has our
Yeah.
our newsletter that goes out to everybody.
The nonprofit calendar is the community foundation one?
yeah, well, Sunny Daily,
Yeah,
yeah, she maintains a calendar of nonprofits. What did you just say, Linda?
I said,
Did you-
that Laura obviously puts it out for a while in our newsletter, which goes out to everybody. I don't know if there's any other. Well, we can always contact. We can individually contact places like the Sherburne Commons. There's all individual, Homestead. There's individual places we can contact separately from Laura's newsletter, which Laura is at like 500 people or something astronomical.
If you guys want to give me the press release, I'm happy to send it out to the circle that I use for the NCEA, which is all senior related information to the
That's
community.
great. I think it's a little early for us to make a big announcement about something in
Agreed. It's a little early.
October.
But
But yeah,
I also posted it on my
definitely.
website and I also posted it on Nantucket Year-Round Community and I posted it in Sconset Gazette. So there's any number of collateral places to post this when we get the poster going.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So I don't think we need to do a vote on this, but it would be, I would just like to suggest that we have a subcommittee, at least 2 people from Council on Aging, and I already have 2 people from the NCEA who want to participate, so, and I'm very happy to participate, so if one other person from the Council on Aging would be willing to work on this, that would be great. And I don't want to lose this thought that, I think it was Arlene who suggested that we hire a professional event planner. I would hope that this, 4-person subcommittee could, consider that idea and decide if that's the way to go or not go. I don't have a preference one way or the other, except for the cost.
Marianne,
So-
I'm happy to join you on that subcommittee. It's Arlene, if you want.
Wonderful.
I'd like to do it. I'll do
I
it
am
also
too.
because I've been through this before. So, yep, that's
Oh,
great.
More the merrier.
A whole bunch of people, so we will be so Arlene, Linda, Aaron.
Mhm.
Okay, and there are 2 people from NCEA, so I think, yeah, we'll have a good number of people working on this. Terrific. I'm very happy to hear that. Okay, any other comments that people have? I mean, it's very early for us to make any distinct decisions about this, but if you have any other comments you want to make at this early planning stage about Elder Expo, now's a good time.
I think we need to use the old list. I have it somewhere on my computer. I don't know which computer. Laura and I looked at that list a long time ago, but I think we need to reach out to the people that are off island in particular to let them know that we have a date because they may be going to other venues. They may have other things going on. I want them to sort of get that list of like 20 or 30 people, save the date. So we have an idea and they have an idea that this is coming back into fruition and this is where we are. So I think we need, the earlier we send that out, the better off.
Great, good idea. Okay, we do have that list. We have the list of participants from all the previous years. And certainly Laura has list after list, so we can definitely do that. Good idea, Linda.
So Marianne, maybe could you maybe give us an idea as to when this subcommittee might meet next? Would it be this month or next month?
I would say April would be a good time for us to start, yeah,
Okay,
April.
Okay.
Start having meetings and they'll probably get closer and closer together after that.
okay.
Mary Ann,
Yeah,
who are the two from NCEA that'll be joining your committee?
Suzanne Franzuto and, who's the vice president of NCEA? She used to work at Marine Home Center.
Jill Lentowski.
Pardon?
Jill Lentowski?
Jill Lentowski.
Right.
And Joan Copenhaver, who is their president, current president, is very much on board, so yeah, I think they'll participate heavily. Any
Here's
other
a question. Can members of NCEA be nominated? Did we decide that?
I don't know
Uh,
Can't
how
be
you could
nominated.
not.
No, it wouldn't fall under the criteria, because it would be the work for council on aging, et cetera, wouldn't,
No, they're
No, it's
only
only if
on,
it's paid.
they're on a nonprofit, so they could be a
They could be
nominee.
nominated.
And they have been
Okay, we
nominated.
can't.
Definitely.
One,
No,
Yeah,
we
because Jimmy
cannot.
Richards did it. Yeah.
yeah. So
Did
if-
Joe Aguirre ever win the senior of the year?
remember. He got nominated a couple of years. I think I remember in the discussion, we wanted to prioritize people who weren't, like, there was like wasn't, he was one of the nominees in,
I just worked on this list before I
Yeah.
came here, so I should remember. I don't think he was ever,
he never won that I'm aware of.
2009 he won.
Oh, he did,
Oh, he
okay.
did
Yeah,
win.
way before all
Okay.
of us.
Okay. And we try not to repeat, correct?
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there any other comments on Elder Expo? Before we move on to Robert Kucharski. Okay, Robert, take it away.
We launched the On the Road March program next week with Distinguished Women of Nantucket, which is featuring Jason Finger, who is the Assistant Director of the Mariah Mitchell Association and has done her master's and written a book about this. So we're gonna get a lot of excitement. This is the second year that she has done this for us during Women's History Month. And then April, we'll be collaborating with the Athenaeum about treasures of the Athenaeum. And then we'll complete the cycle in May with Tony Sarg, which will lead into the big show this summer at NHA. So that's on the road.
Great.
On the road overseas, we launch April 3rd over in Brewster and Harwich. And there are 2 more stops during the month of April on the overseas program.
What's the overseas name?
So does everybody.
It just gets me every time.
And then on elder services, Linda and I went to a very informative legislative breakfast in February.
Marianne and you.
Marianne and me, that's right. And it
I
had.
was going, where did I go in February?
I think someplace warm.
All of the
Must
state
have missed that.
representatives were there, as well as the two senators, and it was quite informative. And they had quite an open discussion. I would say maybe 150, 200 people, Mary
Yeah,
Ann?
it was a full, yeah. it was a
Ballroom?
Full ballroom, yeah,
Was that in Hyannis?
Yes.
it was.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
It
is there
really
any key
Gave a
points?
sense of all the action that's going on in support of seniors all over the Cape and the islands, because both islands were represented, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a very good breakfast and it was so good to see such a big turnout from elected officials and everyone, they all stuck to their 2 minutes and they were all so engaged. I was totally impressed by the whole thing. It's great.
Election year.
It's election year.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It's election year.
Sorry.
Was there any key points that you guys want to mention from that?
Oh,
breakfast?
yeah, the big, the star of the show, I thought was, Julian Sear, who's our
Yeah, see her.
representative in the state senate. And, Dylan Fernandez, who's, our representative in the House, was also there, but, he let Julian have the floor. And there were people from the Cape who were saying that there's a waiting list for services among seniors on the Cape of some 300 people, down from 500 people. And the reason, that they don't have enough people to provide services in people's homes, that's the bottom line. So Julian, summarized the whole problem by saying, affordable housing is at the base of every single issue involving the islands and the Cape. And until we start to provide housing that people can afford to live in, who provide these services, we're gonna deal with this problem and many other problems. And Julian he really captured the whole thing in just 30 seconds, actually, to talk about affordable housing. So that was the high point of the whole day. Sorry to interrupt your whole presentation, Bob.
That's okay. I was
done. You were done?
Done.
Oh, okay, great.
Breakfast was good.
Yeah, and breakfast was very good.
Continental, or was it like,
It was a huge buffet, all sorts of stuff, food that you can't eat anymore.
yeah, no, I know, I'm gonna be all healthy now. Damn, God. I think,
You are next.
All right, so, first report is me getting back to, Robert. There was a recent, sorry, it's gonna be COVID related. There was a recent recommendation from the CDC for seniors to receive a second booster, a second for this year booster. I believe that was released, that was last week that it was released, which coincides perfectly with the end of the state vaccination program that we've been relying on and the maternity leave of my, public health nurse. So, at the moment, I'm trying to see if there's going to be, who is going to be doing vaccinations on the island and what, if anything, the town can do to bring some additional vaccination to the island. We're talking to the rural the rural health, office at the state level to see if there are more vaccination opportunities. But I think at this point, your best advice is to get a dose of a vaccine at an off-island pharmacy, or pay attention to whether the local pharmacies start to vaccinate again, or if the hospital spins up a clinic for COVID. At the moment, I think it is unlikely, to have a sustained vaccination, clinic or effort on the island ahead of, spring this year. I will update as soon as I have more information on that. But if you are off island, or if you are, capable of traveling off to the island, CVS, Walgreens, all of the pharmacy chains off island should have easy access to the most modern variant of the vaccine, the one targeted against Omicron. Any questions on the COVID or vaccine situation?
I have a question. Can this be, mentioned in Laura's newsletter? Because, I'm a senior, I know I have to get another booster, but I'm not exactly, this is all news to me, how to go about it.
So, I can put together something briefly for the newsletter about about vaccine availability off island.
That would be good.
I will, yeah, I'll try and put something like that together. It's basically gonna be if you are traveling, check the CVS website, then schedule through there. But
It
I'll.
will be scheduled.
I do not believe, I would not expect walk-in clinics anywhere at this point. I think it's all gonna be there might be outreach clinics or special, clinics designed for specific populations, that have difficulty signing up, but for the most part, it'll be calling or email, signing up.
That's helpful.
Next, I am currently, starting up the, so there's a, health and human there's a human service wide consultancy and review, which we're looking at as somewhat like an audit. where we have, contracted a couple of consultants to help us review a variety of our processes, including, the staffing, our grant processes, and a bunch of other things that should be interacting, the day-to-day business of the human services, the back end side. It's primarily focused on grants, and it is like everything to do with procurement law, really knotty and complicated, KNOTTY and complicated. And it's gonna eat up the majority of my time for the next year plus. Yeah, additionally, I have been added to the strategic plan, the strategic planning group, under the, healthy and vibrant community section, which does come with some perks, which is that, I get to develop and work on the priorities that the select board have to come together for healthy and vibrant communities, which means that I will be working on and have funding to do, projects that assist with a healthy and vibrant community. So what this means is that I could be working on, senior focused, like I'll be working on some senior focused services or senior focused, healthy and vibrant community components that will be funded through the strategic plan, which means they'll be out of budgetary cycle, so that we'll be able to look at whether or not a healthy and vibrant community is affected by an elder expo, and that this can then lead on to ongoing multiple year allocations as we go along. So it's more work, but it's work where I'll be doing human services stuff, but not in the same context that I have been before. And then I'll be spending a bunch of time working on both the strategic plan and the human services review process.
Who initiated this,
Like,
and who's doing it?
it seemed the strategic plan,
Yeah,
so both
not the strategic.
the
no,
human services
Audit,
review.
the
So
audit,
audit is too strong a word, but it gets the idea. I initiated it.
Oh.
So I spent the first year and a half doing basically COVID stuff, and very little human services stuff. And as the last 2 years have gone on, I'm realizing that a lot of our human services structures were built out 20 or 30 years ago and don't follow best practices. And as our grant committee has developed new programs, a lot of administrative debris from 30 or 40 years worth of running things in a particular way has come up. So what we're trying to do is using this moment to get a fresh view of how we do things, because Amadina, who is the human services department for a long time, is gone. Tamika, who is currently in Amadina's old position, may be moving to a different position within the health department. We have a lot of staff turnover, so it's both a lack of institutional knowledge of how we've done things for a long time, but also a chance to put together a modern and streamlined process behind the scenes, so that I can have people, my staff can be doing things, doing outreach, doing communications, instead of doing as much administrative work as we would do. So it's a combination of instability at the human services, in the human services department in terms of staffing, changes in the health and human services department as Roberto moves on to his new position, after his paternity leave, and then a restructuring that's probably gonna come as a result of that. All of these things together made it seem like the perfect time to get an expert opinion on how I'm doing and what I could be doing better, and how we can change the boards, how we can change the grant process, all of those things.
Who's the expert?
The expert is a group of people from Reftelis Consulting. They've been working on the strategic plan for quite a while. We selected them out of a few vendors with some expertise in the area. And then we had the first meeting, I think 2 weeks ago, and we'll be doing some touch bases, and then there'll be some interviewing, depending upon how complicated the grant side of it is. That's the primary focus. If that is not as complicated as I'm concerned it will be, I will also be asking them to interview both this body and the Council on Human Services, just to get a full wraparound of what the Human Service Department does on that topic.
Oh, good. So all of us on the Council on Aging will have our 2 cents.
You may, it's gonna depend. So the first stage is I need actionable recommendations on the grant process by mid to late summer. if that happens and the project there's still money in the tank, more or less, then it'll be spending out, it'll be coming out to COA and coming out to like interview, possibly even, Laura down at the, Salt Marsh and maybe even NCEA to see how that works. The nice thing about the strategic planning process is that it's an ongoing process. So if we only get to the grant portion this year, I'll expand it out maybe next year or use professional services funding to adjust it. It's a lot of really like only exciting to me things because it's like,
Have you broken into the pros?
they consulted, they actually, their bid was too high. So we had to select a different one, but they were like, all the peanuts you have was their bid. Sorry, we're getting some inside jokes
Yes.
into the
I
town.
think
record.
that's lost on people who are not in this room.
Yes, sorry. Past that, it is, inspection season, certification season. We are preparing for summertime and the increase of service delivery that comes along with that. We're also working alongside, a couple of island and Cape nonprofit organizations to build out our, I think we'll call it behavioral health resiliency program. We're offering, question, persuade, and refer trainings on a monthly basis. These are, ways to identify individuals in behavioral health crisis, ways to convince them that there are resources and training on what those resources are and how they connect people to them. We're doing one of those a month. And we're also looking to start delivering those classes to churches, to professional organizations, to the Artists Association and a couple of other groups of people. And then finally, we are looking to get ourselves fully up and reinstated into the Massachusetts vaccination program so that we'll be able to do in-house clinics this fall. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and then we have some staffing issues. Erin, who's our community nurse, is currently out on maternity leave and will be having her baby probably in hours, on, 2 to 3 days at most, which means that we're gonna be out an official town nurse for a few months. And then we're partnering with the VNA and trying to expand the community nursing program through the VNA, as part of the public health nursing contract we have. I think that's everything.
Do
Sorry.
you want to talk a little bit about the electronic library?
Which, the one that we have all of our links and stuff on? Yeah. So I think a couple of, what was that, 3 months ago? It was.
We set it up
November,
several
December?
months ago, but I'm not sure anybody knows it's there.
Yeah, and I was gonna do a brief intro of it. Do you mind if I didn't prepare it?
Well,
So
we could do it next meeting. It's just,
do you mind
I'll put it
put
on
that in
the
his agenda?
agenda.
So I'll do a brief thing now, but I'll just do the actual screen share of how to use it, how to add, how to
Yeah.
look at it. Basically, we threw together a Dropbox, which is a cloud storage site. It just looks like a file folder on your computer, except it's stored in a place where everyone who's a member of the council can get to it. I believe I sent you all, invites and links to go check it, but I'll send another round out ahead of the next meeting. Basically, Marianne, Bob, a couple of other people, Robert, a couple of other people have been sending links, forms, documents, news stories, articles from websites, all that kind of thing that are relevant to senior interests or have useful links. And we were just looking for a place to share all those links so people can look at it, as well as throw up documents that are relevant to Council on Aging. So we could throw the nomination form for Senior of the Year in there. We could throw up timeline and that kind of information about the Elder Expo. And basically just have a shared folder for all of the Council of Aging stuff. For next week, I'll send you guys the link. I'll run you through really quickly how to log in and how to get out of it and what you need to do in order to access, save, or download something.
and I've been feeding out articles and newsletters that have been coming from Elder Services.
So basically a public repository of elder services, of elder related information and services.
So I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. We can devote some time to how people can access it and what's in there. Any questions for Jericho or comments on what he's covered? Okay, we'll move on to Laura, who has sent out her report in advance so that people have some idea about what's been going on at the Salt Marsh. So if you have questions for Laura or comments for her, or Laura, if you yourself want to say anything else about what's going
Nothing
on.
new has come up in the past 4 days.
Good job, Laura.
Thanks, Arlene.
The busy place at the Salt Marsh.
It is Grand Central these days.
Yeah, you guys have been cranking lately.
Yes, they had 22 for lunch today.
Excellent.
I know, because I was the server today.
Exactly. It's great.
How's COVID been down at the Salt Marsh? Have a lot of people there gotten it again?
No, one senior did. She called and let us know. But she stayed home and she was, not sick. But other than that, nobody's told us that they've had it. And we haven't really been missing anybody, so we haven't noticed.
Right.
Yeah, it is good.
And I think we had a week of mask mandate there. Was it a week or two? Right around, I think just right around the Christmas holiday or immediately afterwards when we had really high community transmission and high wastewater. So basically, if we get, there's a epidemiologist in Martha's Vineyard who's been doing a bunch of epidemiology work for us. And she's been sending us weekly notices of like the raw data plus a professional person's considered opinions on it. And if her indicators go up for 3 weeks on 2 different respiratory diseases that she tracks, I'll throw a mask mandate in basically automatically.
Are you expecting anything now that the winter break is over?
Traditionally, the worst time period is immediately after February break. So right now is where we would see the worst spike
Mhm.
usually, if it follows the previous years. I think that if we did not, like, worst case is there will be a week, probably a week and a half from now or 2 weeks from now, where we put mask up at Salt Marsh, but that's only if it continues to trend up. And this week's data, which should have information about a bounce after vacation, did not show one, so we might have
Good,
dodged it
good.
this time.
Are there any other questions or comments for Laura? Thank you, Laura, as always. The last item on our agenda, is my report on the transportation grant, which is humming along. We've had, made 11, reimbursements to seniors. Of those 11, 9 have been for off-island trips for medical or dental, appointments, and only 2 for people taking taxis, around Nantucket. And I have a very short list of people who have applied that I haven't responded to yet. But in order to get reimbursed for off-island, it must be for medical or dental. We're not accepting any other reasons. And people have been, if they don't give a reason and I say, is this medical? They're very honest about it and say, oh, no, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize it. So honesty has really helped along here. What else do I want to say about this grant?
Sorry, Marianne, I was taking notes while you were talking. Can I just ask you, on the travel grant update, did you say that people have been using it? Yes?
Yes, they have.
Okay,
And most of them, we've given 11, and let me say that NCEA is sending out the reimbursement checks and they're very fast, they go out very quickly. You get your check in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops, but they've been getting checks in about 2 weeks after they're approved. And there have only been 2 people taking taxis or Ubers on Nantucket so far. But as I say, I've got 2 or 3 in the queue right now that I have to evaluate. Everyone must be at least 60 years old and must be in the street list, the Nantucket street list, so that we can be assured they are a year-round resident. We have set a limit of $350 per individual for the whole grant. Because, as we've learned, people with serious health issues go off island a lot. And we could easily use up the whole grant of $7,700 on one or two people who goes off constantly. So we've limited it to $350 so that we can spread it out over as many people as possible and get as many people as possible getting reimbursed. And I've had an online meeting with other people who received grants recently, and I'd have to say that the Massachusetts Council on Aging is, their people could not be better. They're so helpful and everybody has so many great ideas. It kind of overwhelms me at times, but I'm learning a lot about transportation for elders. And I'm joining Zoom calls with actual transportation managers. I mean, other towns have a person dedicated just to senior transportation. And so I'm learning things that I don't know if we'll be able to ever use or not, but it's interesting. And if anybody hasn't seen the website Go Go Grandma, that's a place that everybody else seems to know about.
I'm gonna go look this up right now.
Everybody who's a senior transportation manager knows about Go Go Grandma and helping seniors get transportation who may not have a license to drive anymore or for some other reason can't get from place to place. So they don't wait around for a van with 24 hours notice that the van has to pick them up. Not that that isn't a good service, but some people can just call a taxi or an Uber. So it's been a learning process for me, but it's been very good. So I'm glad to say we're doing this, and NCEA has been terribly cooperative. They're just wonderful to work with, so I appreciate that.
I'm sharing their webpage right now.
It's cute.
It is. So it looks like it's basically a intermediary service for Uber, DoorDash, Instacart that does phone services and then probably handle some of the payment, like can apply for payment back.
Yeah, transportation managers are trying to figure out how to maximize the use of Uber and Lyft and these other social media services for benefiting seniors, essentially. And they haven't gotten it all down yet, but they're working on it.
Wondering,
Does anybody want to know anything more about transportation now that I'm becoming an expert?
right? Let me see if they have services here.
I don't think so.
No,
We don't even have a dedicated senior transportation manager. It's underneath the transportation manager's job.
If they're a cutout that works with Uber or whatever, they won't necessarily need to have anyone here. Yeah, they do have services here.
Oh, okay. We'll have to make that work.
Huh. Alright, I'll do a dip into this and see how it works.
Great, thank you. Are there any other topics that people want to bring up before we close the meeting? Okay, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will move.
Thank you, Robert.
second,
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, everybody,
roll.
for being here. Oh.
Roll call.
Gotta have
Roll call,
No.
okay.
Can't do anything but roll call.
Open
Robert,
meeting. law.
Yeah, yes.
Aaron,
Aaron?
yes, Arlene,
Yes.
Linda,
yes.
Marion, yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.